Hi everyone! Before we get into today's video, just a quick reminder, if you enjoy my content, please give this video a like, and if you have not already subscribed and you want to see more, definitely hit that subscribe button and the bell icon that will give you notifications whenever I post new videos. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoy. Another wave begins to build, lifting the boat up into the air. It's as though a mountain has suddenly risen up beneath them, carrying the little ship impossibly high as the water rages below. The swell carries them forward with incredible speed as the men close their eyes against the driving rain and pray to every god they know of. Unfortunately for the sailors, they are at the mercy of the old god himself, and prayers are weak sustenance. The rocks appear out of nowhere, black shapes, jagged and solid in a world of icy cold liquid. Though he can see them looming closer, the captain is helpless to avoid them and can only watch as the wave pushes them into an outcrop that has withstood the force of the ocean for centuries. The sharp stone easily breaks through the fragile wood of the ship, tearing chunks from gaping holes as the waves rake the vessel over the coarse rocks. The captain's hold on the wheel is jarred loose by the impact and he slides along the deck, jerking to a stop as the rope catches him. He struggles to right himself and crawl back to the helm, but another wave overtakes them, flooding the ship and pushing it back into the rocks. When the water drains away and the men look back, spluttering and coughing up salty water, the rope around the wheel is gone, and so is their captain. The sailors immediately begin screaming and struggling to free themselves, knowing they will surely drown if they do not abandon their sinking vessel. They frantically saw at the ropes with rusted knives as the pounding waves and torrential downpour conspire to rip the blades from their desperate grasps. A few prevail, though, managing to loosen the bonds that hold them. Two of the smallest slip free, including the red-haired boy, and are immediately swept overboard. What remains of the crew struggle to hold on as the boat begins to tilt, her belly filling with water and dragging her down into the roiling depths. A few tumble loose, unable to keep their grip after hours of freezing cold and wet, and disappear into the churning water. The old god roars with satisfaction, perceptible only to his faithful servant. The waves drive them forward again, catching the tail end of the vessel against the rocks and spawning a chorus of creaks and groans as the wood of the craft strains against the power of the ocean. It gives way as all things do when faced with such unbridled force, fissures spreading out from the holes the rocks had torn. The ship cleaves in half with a series of loud, splintering cracks that are audible even over the raging storm. Cries of terror carry on the wind as the crew is cast down into the icy water. A small number surface, having managed to avoid being dragged down with the wreckage of their vessel. The cook is not among them. The storm's song is a howl of victory as the old god receives his sacrifice. Clinging to a chunk of the hull, the boy with the brown eyes sobs into the wind. "I swear, if you let me live, I'll give anything. I just want to see her again." A beautiful woman's face flashes in his mind. Strawberry blonde hair, smiling green eyes, and he clings tight to the image, hoping it'll keep him afloat. I wake with a start, the memory of the green-eyed woman's face sharp in my mind. It is time. Already, I can feel the pull of the lost soul above me summoning me to the shoreline of the ocean. In the distance, I can hear the storm's song, my master aching for the last of the heavy souls on the ship. Though I can inhabit any water within my domain, I call the well home, just as my predecessor had. Deep within the belly of the earth, I sleep in the still waters of the reservoir. Cocooned by stone, hidden by overgrown foliage, I wait for the call of the lost to wake me, just as my grief had woken the nymph all those years ago. While in the ether, I am able to travel over land. Outside of my slumbering state, I am bound to the water. So, I disintegrate my physical body, making myself one with my element and travel through the underground aquifers that replenish my home. Above me, I feel the roar of thunder, shaking the very earth my well is cut from. As I pass from the aquifer into the lake, I regenerate to my natural form, hairless and sleek, with skin of mottled blue and a patchwork of iridescent scales. I cut across the small lake with inhuman speed, my powerful tail driving me through the water as if it's air. I can hear the storm's song, amplified by the volume of the lake, fed by the voice of the rivers. I sing with the water as I swim, my voice lifting to join the chorus. All water has a song of its own, but a storm's is particularly loud, especially one brought by an ancient, hungry god. I reach the river, swimming with the flow of the current as the choppy water surrounding me begin to calm. The storm is moving on, having gifted me the fruits of its destructive labor. Its song is fading, replaced by that of the river and the ocean to the east. The closer I get to the lost soul, the stronger the pull becomes. It is magnetic and instinctual, a honing device gifted by a primal god. Shadows of black and blue surround me, blurred by my inhuman speed as I am compelled to answer the call. I dart out of the river and into the ocean beyond, feeling the scattered survivors clinging to the shoreline. Some are already dead, their bodies growing cold in the frigid air. Others hold on to life by the thinnest of threads, merely delaying the inevitable. They're too far gone, past beyond my reach and that of my master, but it matters not, for there is only one left that he wants, and his soul can still be tempted to my realm. I swim to the edge of the shallows, calm water lapping around me. I feel the old god hunger in the ocean's song, muted in anticipation. There, on the edge of the beach, a lone male, the one with brown eyes I had seen in my dream. He lies half in the water, his torso flopped across the broken chunk of wood. There's a cut over his right eyebrow, and his cheek is rubbed raw and bloody on one side. His breathing is hoarse and scratchy, but even. His body will need time to heal, but he will survive. Or he would have, anyway, I think to myself wryly. When I had first been summoned to lure an escaped soul, I had felt sick with remorse at what I was compelled to do. But after decades of service to the old god, I no longer feel horror or regret after my murderous deceit. In answering my plea to save my beloved son, my master had remade me into the perfect aquatic huntress, an immortal instrument to feed his insatiable hunger. Unlike the nymph, who had served him out of duty and was rapidly approaching the end of her long lifespan, I am nothing more than an extension of my master's will, unsuited to any other purpose and unviable without his interference. There is balance in all things, and knowing my Joshua lives and breathes is all the comfort I need to silence the faint voice of my conscience. Readying myself, I sense the ocean's song go silent as the old god waits for his meal. I begin to sing from below the water's surface, the high, clear notes carried to the brown-eyed man by whatever magic it is that sustains me. He stirs on the chunk of the hull, the unearthly tone of my voice waking him despite how badly his body needs to recuperate. As he regains consciousness, he instinctively begins to look for the source of the singing. Anticipation suffuses me as I hold his lover's face in my mind and feel the transformation beginning to take place. I rise from the water, my tail propelling my head and shoulders into the air. As my skull breaks the surface, I feel long reddish blonde hair cascading down to brush against my shoulders and back, smooth white skin replacing pale blue flesh and iridescent scales. Meredith? The man's voice is hoarse and disbelieving. I smile at him, singing my siren song from the shadows. His eyes drink in the sight of me, fragile hope blossoming in his gaze. My master's need is a physical weight pressing against my back, a gaping maw, eager to devour the sailor whole. It is me, my darling. My voice is not my own, stolen as is the face I wear, plucked from the desperate prayers of a dying man, his damnation wearing the face of salvation. I don't understand. How is this possible? You said you never wanted to see me again after... He trails off, tears in his eyes. It's why I left, to honor that request. The man looks lost and unsure, but he is stepping closer to the waterline, even as he questions my sudden appearance. The old god growls in his approach, barely restrained hunger in his tone. I can explain everything, my love. But first, come take a swim with me. The water is calm and it would feel so nice. I smile at him from Meredith's face, letting my magic lull him into complacency. On the shoreline beyond us, the other survivors are beginning to stir. Though they are not the target of my song, they cannot help but hear it. The old god snarls with displeasure, sensing their awareness as well. The magic is less effective on them, increasing the chances that they will realize what I am and break the spell before I can drag the brown-eyed man under. I'm running out of time, and my master is not the forgiving type. The man wavers, and I know I must seal the deal. My tail paddles below me, propelling me upwards and revealing my bare breasts, skin glowing in the pale moonlight. I sing, high and sweet, sending him an alluring smile as I push myself backwards, leading him into the shallows. "I've missed you, darling," I purr, lifting one hand, no webbing between the digits, tipped with blunt nails instead of claws, and crook my finger at him. Aching desire fills the man's eyes as he follows me into the water. The ocean's song grows louder in my ears, and my master rumbles his approval as he samples the man's loss. It is an irresistible bouquet for him, flavored with the agony of the sailor's loneliness. I see what's left of his crewmates running from the jagged shadows of the wreck, screaming the man's name, but it is too late for him. The brown-eyed sailor is up to his waist now, splashing through the shallow water with rapid, clumsy steps. I smile and close the gap between us with a single stroke of my tail, coming almost close enough to touch him. He stops where he is, eyes locked on mine and filled with desperate hope and love. He is blind to the impossibility of Merida's presence here, to the trap he was walking into so willingly, blind even to my true nature, lurking just below the water's surface, iridescent scales shimmering silver in the light of the moon. He doesn't even fight as my arms go around him, nor when they turn hard and strong, dragging him down to the deep water. As the liquid hits my head and chest, they revert back to my true form, sleek and smooth like the aquatic creature I am. My master roars with triumph, tasting the heaviness of the man's soul as he enters the old god's realm. It's only when the sailor sees my true face that he begins to panic, thrashing and pulling against me, prey that has realized the trap too late. He opens his mouth to scream and water rushes in, forcing precious air from his lungs as I pull him deeper and deeper, where the shadows are purple and blue beneath the shifting waves. I feel him drowning as we descend, just as I had drowned in the witch's well all those decades ago. Even after all these years, I am not entirely used to the feeling of water filling my chest, that burning, choking sensation as his body screams for air. It is a temporary discomfort, though, for I know it will end when his soul departs his body, which would be right about now. I sense him let go, his body now an empty vessel. I release my hold and he drifts away, eyes wide and sightless, mouth open in a silent scream. A sacrifice to the ocean from which he'd escaped. My master lets out a satisfied grumble, releasing his own hold on me at last. Immediately, the magnetic pull fades away, leaving me as free as my servitude ever permits. Free to return to my home, the only place I find any rest. On my stomach, a burning spot about the size of a thimble appears, just right of my navel. I pay it no mind, more than accustomed to any particular sensation, and begin to journey back to my well house. It's always the same kind of pain when my hunt is over, even after the very first time I had offered a soul to the old god. Memories of that night flood my mind as I swim back up the river, its song muted and its water calm around me, sated by my hunt. How shocked I'd been all those years ago, when I'd forced myself to breathe in the well water. I had expected my vision to fade to black, but instead I had been transformed. The water had boiled around me, my skin searing as the old god remade me, accepting the sacrifice of my willing drowning. I had watched as my hair fell away in clumps, my skin darkening to an inhuman mottled blue and my legs fusing together, feet elongating and flattening into a tail, claws erupting from my fingertips as the digits splayed out in an automatic reaction to the pain. I felt a strange tugging sensation between my fingers and realized there was skin between them, a thin blue membrane decorated with delicate veins. I had screamed in agony under the tumultuous waves, drawing in liquid and receiving life-giving air, no longer a creature of land but one of the sea, bound to the water, as all my master's creatures were. As the agony all over my body faded away, a single spot about the size of a thumb directly over my heart continued to burn. It had swelled and hardened, turning shiny and iridescent as the pain finally receded, leaving me with a mark to remember my sacrifice. A scale for a soul, my new master had whispered directly into my mind, laughing with a rumble like the roaring ocean. A soul for a soul, I had thought to myself, picturing Joshua's cherubic face, a perfect blend of William's features and my own. Back in my well, I lie facing the ceiling of my decrepit abode, cradled in the gently lapping waters. My eyes are heavy from the exertion of my hunt. The old god's call is powerful and always leaves me drained afterwards. He murmurs praise into my head as the quiet song of the water soothes me, like a gentle lullaby in my ear. I breathe slow and deep, the soft flow of water in and out of my lungs calming me as I stroke the smooth surface of my newest scale. The hundreds of others decorating my body like a patchwork mosaic glimmer in the dim moonlight, faint rays reaching down into the well through holes in the roof. I close my eyes to the tapestry of my enslavement and allow myself to drift back to the ether, once again awaiting my master's call. Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you visiting my channel. I really hope you enjoyed the story. It was an amazing story. I do apologize that it took so long to get part 2 recorded and edited and everything and ready to go. But I hope you enjoyed it, and if you do, definitely check out the author. I will have her link in the description below. And if you want to see more stories like this, let me know in the comments, and I will see what I can find. Thank you guys again for being here, and I will see you next time.